We are live.
Hi everyone.
Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Episode, I don't even know.
54.
54.
So we're now in the second week of our second year.
Wow.
Wow, time has flown.
Time really has flown. And if you're new here, welcome along. You found your way to the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast.
Yeah, even wearing the gear today, got the Speed Mooting logo on there.
All gear, no idea.
Pretty much. That's me in a nutshell.
So, if you don't know who we are,
Yeah.
I'm Hayley.
And I'm John.
Legal duo / soon to be married
Yeah.
couple.
That's us in a nutshell, really, isn't
That's
it?
us in a nutshell.
So what do you do, Hayley? What's your profession? What's your qualification?
That was such a long way to ask that question.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
So, what do I do? What's my profession and what's my qualification?
I'm used to asking, witnesses of people in the witness box, and
I know, suddenly going like hot under the collar, all this
sometimes
pressure.
you ask the simplest question and they look at you like...
What I do is a hard question though, because I
don't mean that. Okay.
I know. I can
Let
answer
me
it.
rephrase the question.
I can answer it. It's okay. So, to anyone that doesn't know, I'm a legal director at Speed Mooting, a commercial solicitor, and when I was in private practice, I was a property litigator.
Ooh, the juicy stuff, eh?
The juicy stuff.
And for those who want to know what I do, likewise, I'm a managing director here at Speed Mooting, and also thrown in there, just a little thing, a criminal barrister. So when I'm not, running events, running speed moots, running advocacy clubs, doing all the other bits and bobs that we do, throw on a wig and gown and stand in front of a jury.
Yep, we are busy bees.
Aren't we just? So, for those that are new here, we like to name our episodes.
Indeed we do.
And we normally name them after Formula 1 drivers. This is episode 54. There is no number 54 Formula 1 driver.
Shame.
So, we're going to go to WWE for this one. Now, this one, the reason it's 54 is this guy, back in the day, used to come to the ring in various American sports tops, basketball tops, football tops, etc. And he'd always have number 54 on the shirt.
Okay.
And apparently the reason for this is when he used to play sports in college, he was number 54. So, let me give you some hints about this guy.
Okay.
The hints are pretty obvious, but I'll throw them out there. He's a 16-time world champion, and you can't see him.
John Cena.
It's John Cena.
For some reason, I was actually thinking it was John Cena before you gave me any clues at all.
Oh,
Does he still have like 54 like in his recent...
No, he doesn't really do it anymore. So it's from back in the sort of probably early to mid 2000s, so probably 2003, 4, 5, etc. So his character back then was the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Oh God.
Okay. And he used to come out to the ring and he'd do a bit of rapping. I mean, he actually brought us a rap CD, didn't he?
Did he?
Oh yeah, he had a full album.
Wow.
So he used to come out and then he'd always do a different, off the cuff rap every week, and he'd what did he call it? Like a diss track or something, so he'd take the mick out of his opponent. That was his character, the Doctor of Thugonomics, and then he kind of evolved from there.
Oh.
John Cena. So, as you may have heard, he's had a heel turn recently, hasn't he, Hayley?
Certainly has. That means he was a goodie and now he's a baddie.
First time ever. He's actually got the Guinness World Record, hasn't he, for the longest period as a face, a goodie, before becoming a baddie.
I'm going to take your word for that, John.
Yeah, he recently got the Guinness World Record.
I believe, yeah. I'm just saying I don't have a clue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And once again, if you're a new listener, some of John's favourite things is Formula 1, WWE. So that's why pretty much all our episodes are Formula 1 named related or WWE named related.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's him. He's joint highest world champion. Could be next weekend, if he beats Cody Rhodes, he could have the 17th world championship, which puts him in a league on his own at the top. So watch this space.
I'm predicting, I don't know how or whether he'll still get his 17th or whatever, but I think before he finishes, he's going to be a goodie again.
He's got to be, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's got to be. I think he'll win at WrestleMania. I think he'll win the title as a heel. I can see him losing it fairly quickly and then probably winning the Money in the Bank match in June, which gives him another title shot, and then that'll be sort of how he slowly becomes a goodie again.
Yeah.
Because with the Money in the Bank contract, he can cash in at any time. So when somebody's just had a match, they're knackered, he can cash in, come and have a match dead quick and beat them. I think he'll probably do it legitimately and say, no, I'll do it fair and square and everything, and that's how he becomes a goodie. But so I think he might get 18 world titles. Watch this space. Anyway, it's not a WWE podcast. It's a... Well,
it's
I was going to say it's a legal podcast, but we talk about everything, don't we?
We do, but we try to keep it within the realms of legal insights, legal advice, legal tips. We answer your questions. Occasionally we might, a bit of wedding chit-chat in here, some Formula One, some other bits and bobs. But for the most part, you can guarantee you'll have some good legal content when you listen to this podcast.
Absolutely. So, starting with law or law adjacent, this past weekend we held for the 13th time ever our flagship event, which is the National Speed Mooting competition.
Never gets old, does it? You think the more and more you do this, it won't be as hyped, we won't be as excited, we won't get that rush of adrenaline. All those things still happen this many years later. Of course they do.
It gets bigger and it gets better every year.
Yeah.
And what's crazy though is, as big as the hype is, that's our biggest event of the year. Sunday we're like, right, what's next?
Yeah.
On to the next one. We never take enough time to sort of revel in.
No, we don't. We say this is a problem that we have with most things, isn't it, John? We're just like, great, next.
Yeah, we are in the business of what next, aren't we?
We really are. And true to our word, on Monday, I think, we launched our next competition. Only for our mailing list, though.
Yeah, only for the mailing list. So if you were on the mailing list, you'll find out about it. If not, you need to wait for the social media general launch.
I will say though, this podcast will be released Friday morning. So if you're listening to this, it's Friday morning or later.
Yeah.
And I will send another. I'm feeling generous.
Yeah.
So I will send another email to the mailing list for people that missed the first one Friday night.
Okay.
And it will go live on all of our socials Monday morning.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this and it's Friday morning or it's Friday night, get on the mailing list. There's still time to get an exclusive chance to sign up. And I would recommend you do that because, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but the sign up, the instant sign up in the first 2 days was crazy. It always is.
It's been crazy. Already, as we speak right now, we filled 20% of the spots.
I think it's more than that,
Oh, is it more?
I think it's more, yeah.
It was a few hours ago that I checked, actually.
Yeah. They're coming in thick and fast,
yeah.
So who knows where they'll be on Friday. Will it even make it to Monday?
Yeah, will it make it to Monday? That's the question, isn't it?
We've filled up competitions faster than that, so you've got to be in it. And every single time we launch a competition, when the spaces are full, we get people contacting us going, oh, I wanted to sign up, I was just hanging on for this and this and this. Can I go on the reserve list? Is there any spaces? We don't do a reserve list. Once the spaces are gone, they are gone. So don't hang around.
You've got to be in it to win it.
You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah. So, we haven't even spoke about the National Speed Moot. So, it was a great day, wasn't it, Hayley?
It was a fantastic day.
BPP provided an incredible venue for us.
Shout out to the head of law, Matthew Curtis, who was there all day helping us, and he was instrumental in all of the smooth running that we have throughout the day.
Yeah. Thankfully, Matt, he's judged for us for a fair few years, hasn't he? But believe it or not, he was a judge for us before he went and joined BPP. So he was a long-standing individual that's been integrated into our speed mooting community. So he knows
he
exactly...
He gets it, doesn't he? Yeah.
He gets it. So he was brilliant on the day, really helped us out. And it's that buzz in the morning, isn't it? You're signing people in, hello, who's next? You chat to all the different people, it's incredible.
There's always at first, because we're always at the building at the crack of dawn setting up, aren't we? And we tell our students to get there like half an hour before the competition starts to start signing in. But there's always a handful of students that get there really early.
Yeah.
So there's always like 5 or 6 just like mulling around, and you're like, don't worry guys, it's gonna get crazy. And then lo and behold, that final half an hour before we start,
the floodgates
open and it goes insane, and that's when everyone's like, wow, okay,
yeah,
I see what this is big.
Yeah, my mum and dad are always there. They love coming along. They've been there since the first ever one, when we were in a Mormon church in 2012, because the guy that helped me organise the first one, that was his church. We had no venue, so he was like, do you know what, my church would be ideal. It's pretty sort of neutral in terms of the actual building itself. It's ideal for this. So yeah, my mum and dad were really helping out for that first one, and then they've been there for every single one, and they love being there for the morning, don't they? You know, seeing the buzz.
They just love nattering to people, don't they? So whenever you look for your mum and dad, they'll pull someone on your table with them, and they'll be having a chin wag.
Someone having a chin wag. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then 9 o'clock we bring everyone in, and the room is always full. You know, we've got all the competitors in there.
All the judges.
I'm delivering my talk to everyone, and you know, there's just such a buzz. And I think, you know, people obviously sign up for it, but I bet you couldn't explain the atmosphere. So they're probably looking around, going, "Wow, how'd you get so many people in one room on one day ready to do a mooting competition?" And then it's just cool, isn't it? When you do the draw in the morning, I've got my big draw projected on the screen, so it's kind of like the FA Cup. You know, it's knockout style, and I'm there shouting moots out, giving the slips out, people are coming back with the results. Brilliant day.
It's a brilliant day. And we must be getting faster, because we finished the whole day by like 5:30, didn't we?
Yeah. Which is a record for us.
Yeah, usually we have the building till 6, and whoever's in charge is like that, like 5-2 guys, we've got to get out of here by 6. So we're like, judges, make a decision, tell us who's won. But this time, it just went really smoothly, didn't it? And
yeah, we're getting slick, aren't we?
We're getting slick.
And we've got our sort of room allocation board thing, haven't we? So you put your it's like a spreadsheet that you draw on a board,
I'm there like Carol Vorderman, aren't I?
Yeah.
Val, except it's
name of the room.
This room's free, they're in, okay, this one's free, another moot to this room. It works. And then once the competition is done, we always end up in a pub somewhere.
That we do.
With whoever wants to join us. So we always have. I mean, it's a long day, so understandably a lot of people will shoot straight off.
Yeah, don't blame them.
But there's always a little handful of us, judges, competitors alike, that find our way to a local pub.
Yeah.
A local watering hole. And this time it was Rain Bar. Rain Bar in Manchester, which I've never been to before, but I'll definitely go again.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then we ended up in Chinatown for our dinner. You've never been to Chinatown before?
No, it was amazing.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah. The food, I can't even remember which one it was, but we were there at 9 o'clock at night. Every restaurant had a queue to get in, so it shows you all the restaurants are brilliant there, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the one that we went to, I can't even remember what it was called now, but the food was incredible, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
We got some shredded salt and pepper chicken, didn't we?
Yep.
We got some
salt and pepper chips. Beef and black bean with,
and rice.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. Oh, the waiter was brilliant, wasn't he? Because he comes over, he serves the food, and I go to him, "Oh, have you got any soy sauce?" And he goes, "No." It was amazing, just having like banter with me.
That's such a good impression of him.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So yeah. That was the National Speed Mooting competition.
Yeah, so that was that. So brilliant day, another one in the books. I can't believe we've done 13 of them.
I know.
That's literally it. The National Speed Mooting has been going on for more than a third of my life now.
Yeah.
Wow, it's crazy to think, like, you know, well, you can see how big a part of my life it is, you know, it's we're in the brand and everything, but yeah, it's incredible.
It is.
Yeah, so on to the next one. Jinx.
Great minds think alike.
Indeed. Now, we have a section on this podcast called Ask Speed Squad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're the Speed Squad, you're our community. So ask us any questions you want. And we had a really good question this week.
Yeah.
So this came in, and I'll read this out. It says, "I've got a thought for a subject on the podcast. I know pupillage interviews are happening, but not for me yet, and a few haven't gone so great. I won't mention any names, but I think it'd be good for them to hear suggestions on how to mentally handle the post-interview feeling of the world is ending because I've had one bad interview. Yeah. Have a good week, and thanks again for everything. Now,
it's a great
that's
suggestion.
A brilliant question. That is literally a brilliant question because, you know, we've been around the block, haven't we, Hayley?
Oh, I've got some war stories about interviews.
I think we need to share some war stories today.
Okay.
We definitely need to share some war stories.
Okay.
Just to reassure people because, you know, dealing with the last point, you know, the world is going to end.
It's not.
It's not. I might rant and we might go all over the shop with this because I've got so many different thoughts on this. But my first thought is, you have a bad interview, it's not the end of the world. Because, and I've probably said this before on the podcast, if you can get an interview, doesn't matter what it's for a training contract, for a pupillage, it might even be paralegal jobs because, you know, there's a lot of people in the market, it's becoming more and more difficult to get out there. So it could even be, you know, for paralegal, legal assistant, whatever. Silex roles, etc. If you get an interviews, you're obviously good enough on paper. You've got something that an interviewer is looking at and going, do you know what? And particularly with regard to pupillage, because, you know, the stats show it's very difficult. When I was applying for pupillage, I think it was for every 5 people that passed the bar course, only 1 would go on and get a pupillage. It might even be worse than that now. It's probably worse now. So you might, the prospects might even be lower than 20% now.
Yeah.
But, you know, so particularly at the outset, if you're straight out of university, it might be hard for interviews to come by, and you might have a year whereby you only get 1 interview that year, and you think, this is it. I've got to do this. I've got to go in. If I don't get this, I've got no chance at all. How am I going to go through the process again, etc. But what I'd say is don't forget that, you know, let's say you don't get that. 12 months down the line, you're going to have so much more experience. There's so much more to talk about. So if you were able to get the interview way back when, in 12 months' time, with all this extra ammunition that you've got that you can go on your CV, on your application forms, etc., the interviews will come.
And also, just don't count your chickens. You know, you might think you've had a bad interview, but it might actually have gone a lot better than you thought. Yeah,
but coming back to the point I'm trying to make here, which is, you know, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and then you go into the interview and you have that thought of, if I don't get this, I'm going nowhere. You need to change that attitude. It puts far too much pressure on yourself, and then that's when you kind of don't perform. I think some people might perform under that pressure, but I certainly wouldn't, and I imagine a lot of people wouldn't. So I think you need to shift the mindset to, I know I can get more interviews in the future, and then it becomes a kind of, well, I'm going to do everything I can. You know, I'm going to put my whole effort into this. But if I am unsuccessful, it's not the end of the world because more interviews are coming. And then that kind of takes the pressure off. I'm not saying go in with a completely blasé attitude that you don't care, but just take that pressure off yourself. And that's when I got my training contract. That was the difference for me. Because, you know, I've been through a few cycles of pupillage interviews. My first cycle of training contract interviews, I had a few, you know, unsuccessful attempts. And, you know, made a divvy of myself on a few occasions, which I'll probably talk about in a minute. But when I got the training contract, I went in with just the attitude of, well, I was very close to leaving the law, actually. I was just that so disenfranchised with it. And I kind of, I probably took this to the extreme, and I think I did have the attitude of not caring. I'm not saying that, you know, for yourself, but that's the attitude I went in with. And because of that, I had nothing to lose. And I did brilliantly. And you know, literally was offered the training contract very soon thereafter. So that's the point. What I'd say is take the pressure off. If you're getting the offers for interviews, you're going to get more. Yeah,
but you know, when you do get the interviews, you've got a lot riding on it, and you go and you absolutely bomb it. We've all been there. And we know all too well that feeling after when you come out and go, oh God, that was so embarrassing, or I couldn't answer that question, I just wanted the floor to swallow me whole. It's not a nice feeling. We've been there, and as time passes, so at the absolute aftermath of your interview is always the worst, isn't it? When it's just happened, it's the worst. When everyone's asking you, you know, your mum, your dad, your friends, how did it go? And you're like, oh, it was okay, I think it was okay. That feeling is horrible.
Yeah.
But as more time passes, you put it into perspective and you think, maybe it wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was. Or you know what, I'm going to pop it down to a life lesson there.
Yeah.
What I did and said in that interview, what caught me out there will never catch me out again. Or those questions I just caught me completely off guard. Well, next time I'll be prepared for those questions and just use it as an experience to get better.
Yeah.
But what I was saying before as well, you're your own worst critic. Everyone thinks the worst of themselves. So you could come out thinking that was terrible, that was awful, they're going to think I'm the worst, they're never going to want to employ me. And they could be thinking, gosh, that was a really good interview. You just don't know. Remember when you went for an interview when you were going to the bar, John, and we were in town?
Yeah.
And I met you for lunch afterwards, didn't I? And you were like, oh, it was really great. I'm not sure, though. I think there was probably some questions I could have answered better. I don't think I performed my best.
I think I was a lot more critical of myself than that.
Well, yeah.
I think you're downplaying it.
You didn't, you weren't happy with it.
I was not impressed with my performance at all.
Yeah, you got offered tenancy that same day.
That same day, yeah.
So, I mean, that's a great outcome to a great scenario. I think the circumstance that this person's asking us to talk about is when it just goes awfully and you know and you feel terrible. But the point is, you know, it hasn't always gone as bad as you think it has. And I know people as well in the legal industry where, well, I'm an example of this. When I applied for my training contract, didn't get it the first year. It was a full assessment day, so there was loads of different parts of it, but one of the parts, which was we had to do an instruction taking exercise, so listen to a video with a client calling up with every problem under the sun, summarise it, and then go into a partner, and they quizzed you on it, basically. That, for me, the first time I did it, didn't go well at all. It was areas of law that I hadn't studied yet, didn't know yet. I think at one point the interviewer said to me, have you done this type of law? And I was like, no! Like, it was so bad, and I came out of there with that feeling and then did the rest of the assessment day. But I knew that day that part had let me down.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh God, have I blown my chance? No, the next year I got through again and I got the training contract, you know, it was successful. And that part was probably the part I performed the best in because I'd prepared for it so much. You might fail an interview, go back stronger to that same interview as the next year and get it, and they'll be like, gosh, you've come so far.
Yeah, as you say, it's all about the experience of it, because you come out and, you know, as much as we're talking about it, there's nothing that's going to stop you having that horrible pit feeling in your stomach. You're going to be massively disappointed because you've obviously worked hard to get the interview, and then if it goes wrong, that's life, that's what happens. Just know you'll get past that. And as Hayley says, it's all about the experience. So you go, but you know what? I had a terrible experience there. Let's learn from it. So it's not a waste of time you're going for that interview. You'll learn so much and you'll improve, hopefully, for the next time. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, some chambers actually give feedback. You know, not all do. Not all offer it. But I remember I had... I interviewed for a set of chambers, and it was 200 or 300 applicants, I can't remember however many. They whittled it down to a long list for interviews, so it was about 20 or so that went for that, and then they brought 6 back for the second round interview, and there 2 people just on offer, and it just didn't, I didn't get it. But thankfully, you know, someone that was on the panel gave me a ring back afterwards and, you know, told me where I went wrong, told me where some of the weaknesses were in my application, so it was really helpful. So actually, not getting that helped me to figure out, okay, well, this is what I need to work on. These are the holes I need to plug in my CV, and this is what I need to work on going forwards. Yeah. And I think with that particular one, it was just a lack of advocacy experience. So the particular chambers wanted someone that had done a lot more advocacy than I had. So, for example, those that were working as county court advocates. I'm not saying that that's what you have to do. Most chambers don't need that because a lot of people, not a lot, but many people get pupillage when they're in third year at university. But what that particular chambers wanted was someone that had, you know, more experience of advocacy. So when they come into pupillage, you know, they can hit the ground running a bit quicker. So that was just one of the things. So what because I was paralegal at the time, the advice I got was, you know, try and do everything you can to try and get more advocacy experience in your day-to-day job. This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com. But yeah, no, I think, as I say, you know, we've been there, we've worn the t-shirt in terms of bad experiences, and we've got a few, so let's share some bad experiences to hopefully, if you've had one, make you feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, well, I've just shared one.
Yeah,
my first ever interview was a train wreck.
Go on.
And it was just with a small high street firm in, where were they? Southport, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And because it was the first one I forgot, and it was in like second year of university, I was like, well, I'm going to be one of these people. I'm going to leave university with a training contract lined up and sponsorship and everything. No. I've never done an interview like that before. I'd only ever interviewed for like retail. So I wasn't prepared at all for the type of questions they were going to ask me. And you know, just like every answer you give them, just like, like, you know, you just know it's not what they were looking for at all. Or so many things they asked me, and it was like, I don't know. Like, it was just awful. One question that like sticks in my mind: what do you think is like the overall like goal of a law firm? And I was like, to help clients and to uphold the law and all this like just waffle. And they're like, what else? And I was like, I think that's everything. And they were like, well, how about making money? What about making money? And I was like, oh my God, like, of course it's a business. Like, it's not, they were like, it's not taboo to say we want to make money. Yeah. And I left that one thinking, wow, I bombed it. And I didn't get that job. So that was the first one I had. And yeah, not great.
Yeah. So let's think. I've had a few bad experiences in pupillage interviews. So I went for one, and this particular chambers made you do a written exercise beforehand. So they gave you a problem, I think it was a civil-based problem, and then there were a series of questions off the back of it, and I don't know, say you had half an hour or so to complete it. So you fill out the answers, and then you give it in, and they'll quiz you on the answer or ask you supplementary questions. And I think initially I absolutely bombed that, you know. I think just the pressure got to me, and I just gave some terrible answers on the questions. A little bit, I think it was a bit out of my expertise, but I suppose the problem's designed to be generic enough that you can kind of use common sense, etc. So I just, you know, no excuses, I just completely bombed that aspect of it. And then we go in, and you've got, I think there are about 9 or 10 people on the panel, all in a horseshoe around you. And the guy, the main person on the interview goes, my name's such and such, not going to introduce you to everyone on the panel, we haven't got time. And then they're all in so you're there suited and booted, they're in plain clothes, so you're, wow, this is, I think it's designed to be that way, it's designed to test you, so it was a good interview technique, to be fair. But you straight away, wow, this is a bit difficult. And I just completely messed up, you know, some of the questions. And the questions only came from about 4 or 5 people on the panel, and there were some that were there just literally taking notes. No. And then there was some, you know, there were a variety of different questions. So, you know, general questions about, you know, you being in practice, some legal questions, ethical questions. And I remember getting one of the ethical questions, and I gave the answer, and the answer was right that I gave. And the response from the person who asked the question came back and said, well, yeah, I can't remember what the question was, but I said, you know, you'd have to do X because you've got an overriding duty of the court. Yeah, you've got a duty to your clients as well, haven't you? What about your clients? And yeah, you're quizzing yourself. And I knew that my initial answer was right, but because I've been challenged, I went, I suppose when you think about it, and changed it. They go, oh, right, okay, well, you're in front of the bar standards board. You know, so because I was so young, so green.
I know.
And, you know, I changed my answer. When, you know, in reality, in practice, you would never do that. You know what to do. I would have always done it right. But because I was in the pupillage interview,
of course,
and I absolutely cracked, and I knew at that point
it was over.
It was game over. It was game over.
If they gave you a scenario and you're ending it at the front of the bar standards board, you're not getting pupillage. if an interview bombs because you just don't get on with your interviewer, and I've had those ones as well, where the answers are right, but there's just no, and I'm a very like personal person, so are you, John, so if we have like just a straight-faced interview that's just like, yes, okay, and now, what about this? Yes, okay. Like, I'd be thinking, I don't think I want to work there anyway. Where if they're like, oh yeah, great, so tell me about this, laughing and joking, and then get into the real questions, they still get all the same answers from you, but you just have like, for want of a better word, a connection with your interviewers. So you might bomb an interview because you just don't fit with the chambers or with the firm, and that's fine.
Yeah, I've had a few like that where I've come out and I thought, you know what, not massively bothered because I wouldn't want to be, not necessarily just pupillage interviews for jobs, paralegal jobs. I thought, you know what, I don't think I want to be there anyway.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If any of those places would have offered me a training contract earlier, I would have taken it.
You'd have their hand off, wouldn't you?
But it does help if you think, oh, I didn't get that one. You know what? It wasn't the right fit for me anyway. Yeah,
but likewise, when I got my training contract, so I was interviewed by Marcus and Connor, who were the partners in the firm, etc. And we got on like a house on fire. I think this interview went on for a lot longer than it should have done. We were there an hour plus because we were just chatting, and it was just so natural. It was brilliant, and they came out to me afterwards. I think they said, oh, not afterwards, but once I got the job months and months down the line, and they said best interview we've ever had. So so we got on really well, and I thought I came out of that interview thinking A, it went well, and B, that's somewhere I'd actually want to be.
Yeah.
So if you've had that bad experience and you're thinking, do you know what, I don't really think we clicked anyway. It's not the end of the world. So it might, once again, it's a fruitful exercise because you've spent your 20 minutes, your half an hour in an interview, and do you know what? It's not somewhere I want to actually practice.
The interview went really bad because I know they just didn't get me. Well, it's not the right place for you. It's not.
No. Another bad war story.
Go on.
Okay, so this time there were only about 4 on the panel, so no exercise beforehand. This is just purely straight interview. So I think you've got a few barristers on the panel of varying calls and a clerk as well. And because I worked in PI civil at the time, I thought, I'll probably end up with a civil practice. Probably a lot of my pupillage application, I imagine, is probably buttressed with application, evidence from civil. So I've probably been talking about that. And I have a question that comes from, I think it was the senior clerk. All right. And he says to me, okay, so John, let's say you get pupillage, let's say you get tenancy. So 5 years down the line, I'm promoting you to solicitors. What does your practice consist of? So I'm thinking, given that I've applied on the basis that I work in personal injury, probably spoke a lot about civil law, I said to them, well, it's probably going to be a civil practice that would consist of, and I said 3 areas. I think I might have said, I will have said personal injury because I knew that's where I worked for one of the biggest PI firms. I think I might have said landlord and tenant. Never touched landlord and tenant in my life. Will have known
just something you happen to
just something I happened to say. And then I said, and where this one came from, I will never know. Industrial disease.
It's the most random thing ever.
Isn't it just? Now, unfortunately for me, one of the guys on this panel, his practice was pretty much industrial disease. He must be, one of the leaders in it, etc. So I was like lamb to the slaughter because he turns around to me and goes,
he was rubbing his hands together when he heard that.
So he goes, all right, John, okay, so industrial disease, so, 5 years down the line, you're doing industrial disease cases. What is the biggest growth area in industrial disease? Given that I know nothing about it, I knew that my firm did it. I'd heard about my firm doing it, but I'd never touched an industrial disease case. And I'm frantically thinking back to, tort law, and I'm thinking about what kind of industrial disease cases might there have been. And literally the only thing that came to my head was this very specific case about somebody that must have worked in a construction job or something. They were exposed to dust and they had a skin-related disease. I can't imagine that's very common, but that's what I said. So I said, I imagine it's going to be cases related to skin disease.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guessing that wasn't right.
It wasn't right, and this barrister was picking up on it, and as you say about wanting the floor to swallow you whole, that's where I was at this point. I knew, there's no chance I'm getting this pupillage, And the clerk jumped in and helped me out, and he turns around and says, "All right, Mr. Barrister, what is the biggest growth area in industrial disease?" And it turns out the correct answer is noise-induced hearing loss.
Well, there you go.
Well, there we go.
Maybe if you'd had a genuine interest in industrial disease, you would have known.
Maybe. Ironically, following on from this interview, I ended up doing a little bit of industrial disease at the fair, and I did a few noise. Actually, I went to Anfield Stadium, where our firm were doing I don't know what you call it, a promotional event, saying, if you've ever worked in industry, come along, we'll do hearing tests with you, and, getting new clients that way. And I went along for that day to help out. So I ended up doing a bit of industrial disease post this incident. But yeah, long and short, the moral of the story, if you're going to say something about, where you want your practice to go, what you're going to do, know a little bit about it.
And be honest.
Don't
make up an area of law because you think it sounds impressive. You never know who's in the interview room.
Oh, you really don't. I mean, that was probably one of my worst performances. And I had some bad performances in pupillage interviews. That was a pretty bad one.
Well, let's bring this full circle back to the question itself. Okay. So, to summarise, there's going to be bad interviews. As John says, try not to think that every interview you go for is the absolute bee's knees interview and you have to get it or the world's going to end. But there's going to be times when you do really want something, or it's your first interview or your first big chambers interview. There's all different reasons why it will mean a lot, and then you come out and think that went terribly, and you have that horrible feeling in your stomach. We've all experienced it, and know that you're not alone. And the best cure is time. I think the more time goes on, the easier it is to put it into perspective, especially as you get more interviews. And once you get a pupillage, you won't care.
You don't care. Well, perfect case in point,
Look at us laughing at all.
Coming out of those interviews, I would have felt absolutely horrible. And, you're thinking you think the world's over, etc. And now look at me all these years down the line, thriving practice at the criminal bar and laughing out loud at that, myself from the past. So, we're not trying to belittle it. You're going to have these experiences. They're going to feel horrible, and there's nothing you can do about that. But
learn from them. Put it down to experiences, and if something caught you out that time, then it won't catch you out again. So you're gonna get better and better. And if that interview doesn't lead to the position that you want, then another position is out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we'll do is we've spoken a lot about pupillage interviews today. So we'll do a quick recap on what we've got coming up.
Oh yeah, we've got a few announcements.
Oh, we have indeed. So this month at the Advocacy Club, we've got a debating session on the 22nd, open to absolutely anyone.
Mm-hmm.
They're always fun debates, so we don't do anything political, religious, anything that's controversial, we don't do.
We're all friends at the Advocacy Club.
We're all friends, and we want to stay friends and remain friends. So we have fun debates, but the principles are still the same. You've got to build a case, you've got to be able to deal with points of information, so you build the same skills, but have fun in the process.
Mm-hmm.
A week later, 29th, for the first time ever, we've got family law.
Family law. People have been asking us for family law for a while.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't done it yet because I'm from a civil background, John's from a criminal background, and we want to make sure when we brought this for you guys, we brought it for you properly. We didn't want to have a half-assed go at putting together a problem that wasn't real or wasn't realistic. But we managed to find a family lawyer to put together the problem for us. So thank you very much to Louise Duckett.
Yeah.
It's a really good problem, a realistic scenario that you could expect to deal with as a junior, maybe even a pupil.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even beyond that, no matter which side of the fence you fall on, barrister or solicitor, you can expect to deal with these sorts of applications. So, it's going to be a very realistic problem.
Going to be a good one. And we've also just announced, this isn't coming up just yet, but we've made a big announcement.
We have indeed.
The Northern Pupillage Fair, we have confirmed our date.
So, Saturday the 27th of September, we're back at the Liner Hotel. We're sponsored once again very generously by BPP. It's going to be a great day, 10 till 3, so you've got loads and loads of time to come in. There's going to be some fantastic talk. We've got a broad range of exhibitors already registered.
Yeah.
There's going to be more than there were last year.
Yeah, we might have to use the upstairs.
I was just thinking that, actually.
We'll see how we go.
We'll see how we get on anyway.
Point is, it's going to be a fantastic day for you all.
Yeah, it's going to be good. You'll get to meet Hayley and I.
Of course.
Yeah.
Probably your mum and dad.
Yeah, my mum and dad will be there, the whole Speed Mooting squad. My dad will be giving autographs out, no wonder. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So we've got so much coming up. It's going to be a massive year here at Speed Mooting, isn't it, Hayley?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So hope you're enjoying the start of your second year as a full-time Speed Mooter.
I am indeed. It's going very, very fast.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap it up there because we've got class tonight, haven't we?
Yep, we're going to the church where we're getting married. We've got another class with Father Terence. So I'm, if you don't know, I'm Anglican right now, converting to Catholicism. Catholicism. Blooper reel.
Matt, you might want to learn that.
Learn how to pronounce my religion. I'll just say Roman Catholic. That's easy.
Yeah.
Converting to the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
In preparation for our marriage.
Yeah.
So we have to go to classes. John's doing his confirmation.
Yeah.
Because he never finished.
It's the only sacrament I didn't do.
So we've got that tonight. Straight after, we've got Speakers Club.
We have indeed.
So once again, if you're new to this, John and I are members at Liverpool Speakers Club. John's the president. I'm the secretary. Just because, we haven't got enough.
Yeah, we haven't got enough to do.
We haven't got enough to do, yeah. So we meet every month at the Racket Club in Liverpool.
So yeah, I mean, if you're in Liverpool, second Wednesday of the month. You're welcome to come along and build your public speaking with us, or just come along and have a listen. Yeah.
That's it, I think.
I think that's it.
For today, anyway.
Yeah. So it's been another good one. I've enjoyed recording the podcast. Have you enjoyed it, Hayley?
I've enjoyed it, John.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. If you're still listening at this point, drop us a comment down below.
Interview fail? What were you going to say?
I was going to say Doctor of Thugonomics, but...
No one's writing that, Jesus. Doctor of what?
Doctor of what?
No way.
Interview fail with a smiley face. Let's wear our fails with pride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's own them. And if you've got any ideas for questions for next week's episode, if you have any ideas who it might be named after, it's a pretty obvious one, 55, but if you have any ideas, comment down below. That brings us to an end. It's time for us to say cheerio.
Bye.
Enjoying our videos? Then we'd be super grateful if you could take a moment and subscribe to our channel.